Look at the sun. It fills the sky, it warms your skin, and honestly, it feels about as big as anything could ever be. Line up the planets beside it, and it dwarfs every single one. You could stretch 100 Earths across its face, and by volume, fit close to 1 million of them inside. It holds more than 99% of everything in the solar system, which means every planet, every moon, every drifting asteroid is really just crumbs left over from building the sun. A jet at full speed would spend months flying around it once. Even light, the fastest thing there is, takes about 4.5 seconds to travel from one edge to the other. So the sun is big, no argument there. And yet, on the scale of the universe, it turns out to be tiny, almost embarrassingly small. Over the next few minutes, we are going to climb, one star at a time, from our familiar little sun, all the way up to the largest star anyone has ever found. By the time we reach the top, the sun will look like a single grain of sand. Most of the stars, scattered across the night sky, are fairly ordinary. A lot like our own, some run a little smaller, some burn a little hotter. But every so often, you find something that barely deserves the word star at all. These are the giants. Before we meet them, it is worth asking how we even know their sizes, when they sit unimaginably far away, and we obviously can't stretch a tape measure across the galaxy. The method is sneaky. We measure how bright a star shines, how hot its surface glows, and how far away it sits, and from those 3 clues, we can work out how large it has to be. It is clever, it is also a little shaky, and that shakiness is going to come back and bite us before the end. This is Betelgeuse. You have almost certainly seen it, that reddish spark sitting in the shoulder of Orion on a clear winter night. It is a red supergiant, roughly 700 times wider than the sun, and the second you try to drop it into our solar system, the numbers turn brutal. Set it where the sun sits, and it swallows Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars in a single gulp. Everything we have ever called home would be buried deep inside the star, already gone. Betelgeuse is also dying. It has burned through most of its fuel, and sometime soon it will explode as a supernova, bright enough to throw shadows across the Earth for weeks. A few years back, it caught everyone off guard, dimming so sharply that astronomers wondered if the big explosion had come early. It turned out the star had simply coughed up an enormous cloud of dust. Still, it was a reminder that this ancient giant is restless and running out of time. And for all its size, Betelgeuse is only the first rung on the ladder. Next comes Antares, the red heart of the Scorpion, a star so close to Betelgeuse in scale that the two are hard to tell apart. Set it in the sun's place, and the inner planets are gone in a heartbeat. Then there is Cephei, the garnet star, glowing a deep, wine-dark red. This one is larger still, more than 1,000 suns across. With every step, the giant swells, and our sun shrinks, until it is little more than a speck. And somehow, these are still not the largest. Every star we reach feels like it must be the limit, and then the next one is bigger. It's as if the universe keeps quietly moving the goalposts on us. Meet UY Canis Majoris, a name that wore the crown of biggest known star for years. It stretches to roughly 1,400 times the width of the sun. Set it at the center of our solar system, and it does far more than erase the inner planets. Its surface reaches out past Jupiter and keeps going, halfway to Saturn. One single object, wide enough to hold nearly every world we know, and it is not a calm place either. Stars this bloated are barely holding themselves together. VY Canis Majoris tears itself apart so violently that it has buried itself inside a glowing shroud of its own gas, a dying star slowly falling to pieces while we watch. Now the journey takes a strange turn, because to reach the next giant, we have to leave the Milky Way behind completely. This is WOH G64, and it does not live in our galaxy at all. It sits inside a smaller companion galaxy, the Large Magellanic Cloud, 160,000 light-years from here. The light landing in your eyes tonight left that star long before anyone on Earth had built a single city, and still, across a gulf that enormous, we not only measured it, we recently captured an actual image of its surface. The first time in history anyone has seen the face of a star beyond our own galaxy. WOH G64 runs to around 1,500 suns wide, swaddled in a thick cocoon of gas and dust. It keeps shedding into space. We are one small damp rock weighing a dying giant we can barely even see. Which brings us to a name you may already recognize, UY Scuti. For a good while, this was the champion, the biggest star in the universe, or so every textbook claimed, at something like 1,700 times the sun's width. Placed in our solar system, its edge would have swept out well past Jupiter. And then the story got complicated. Pinning down a star this distant is punishingly hard, and when sharper measurements finally rolled in, the star shrank, sliding into far more uncertain territory, much smaller and harder to pin down than that famous old figure. So the celebrated record holder may not hold any record at all. The star never changed. Our view of it did, which leaves one star standing at the very top, Stephenson 218. Right now, it is the largest star we have ever found, around 20,000 light-years away, out near the crowded heart of the Milky Way. Not far from the supermassive black hole at the galaxy's core, its size is genuinely hard to hold in your head. Stephenson 218 is more than 2,000 times the width of the Sun. Remember how light crosses our Sun in under 5 seconds? To cross this star, that same beam of light would need close to 3 hours. You could pour something like 10 billion suns into it and still have room left over. 10 billion. If our Sun were shrunk down to the size of a pea, this star would swell into a ball as tall as a 7-story building. And despite all that bulk, it shines with the light of hundreds of thousands of suns, even though its surface is actually cooler than our own. Numbers this big tend to go numb, so let's make it physical one last time. Pull the Sun out of the solar system, set Stephenson 218 down in its place, and watch. Mercury, gone. Venus, Earth, and Mars, gone in an instant. The asteroid belt, swallowed. Jupiter, swallowed. And the surface still isn't finished, rolling on until it reaches the orbit of Saturn. Nearly the entire solar system, tucked inside one single star. Now imagine standing on Earth the moment it took the Sun's place. No sunrise, no clouds, no sky, just a wall of blinding plasma, filling everything, in every direction, with no horizon and no edge. Not that you would notice, you would already be gone, long before the light ever reached your eyes. But here's the strangest part of all. Stephenson 218 might not even be possible. Our best models of how stars work say something this enormous should tear itself apart, long before it ever grows this big. So either we are missing something huge about how these giants live and die, or the numbers are wrong, and it is smaller than it looks. Honestly, we still don't know. And stars like this don't just quietly burn out. One day, deep inside, the fuel finally runs dry, the core gives way in a fraction of a second, and then the whole thing explodes. For a few brief weeks, that single dying star can outshine an entire galaxy, billions of stars all at once. And when the light finally fades, something strange is left behind in the dark. Sometimes a neutron star, a ball so dense that a single spoonful would weigh millions of tons, and sometimes a black hole. So let's head home. The journey back takes us past every giant we just met. UY Scuti, VY Canis Majoris, and Betelgeuse, still glowing red in the shoulder of Orion, until finally we arrive at our own quiet, ordinary sun, the star we started with, the one that once felt impossibly large, and next to Stephenson 218, it's nothing more than a grain of sand. That's the thought I keep coming back to. We are small, a tiny rock, circling an average star in one galaxy among trillions. We will never reach these giants. They are too far, and most will be long dead before we ever could. And yet, somehow, from this little blue dot, we found them. We measured monsters we will never touch, across distances the mind can barely hold. And maybe that is the most remarkable thing of all. Thanks for coming along on this journey. There's a whole universe still waiting out there. So stick around, and I'll see you in the next one.